And before we get started, did you see this? It says, so of course I love how Twitter now makes like they give you context. Oh fuck, I just went away. Okay. They give you like context for stuff now, even though a lot of times it's just completely biased. This one is just like it's an unconfirmed Pornhub search map. You know, these always come out every however long. It's always fun because and this one's definitely fake. Like you can tell it's because it sounds legit enough if you just look at a handful of states or like most states, but there's a couple in here that are just dead giveaways, like Oklahoma being goth hospital. And,
and that actually, I don't know about that. I don't
know. Okay, most common. You're telling me that the most common, because a lot of them are like MILF, like my home state is New Jersey's MILF, yours is Asian, a lot of MILF, lesbian, BDSM. Michigan's is racist. Just racist porn. No, there, some stepsister stuff, which Delaware skin. I don't know what that even means. And then Florida is boats, but the one why this is trending, boats for porn, but why this is trending is because Tennessee is Kevin James, and that's why this is, you always said the maps are always fun. A lot of times they're bullshit. Like there was one I think Barstool made that's like most common chain restaurants, and the giveaway was like Colorado with Rainforest Cafe.
So the Oklahoma Goth Hospitals one. So I was with a chick about a year ago who was from Oklahoma, and she was a nurse, and she liked horror movies. So I think there's a little bit of evidence. I don't think we should.
Do you just have a VPN? Do you have a VPN from like Tulsa, and you're just typing in Goth Hospital with you and your well-documented porn addiction?
Yeah. Well, here in California, we're very diverse, especially in our porn tastes. So we care about diversity.
Really? Well, yours is just Asian. So slow down over there. Just
that'd be funny if it was diverse porn.
Like basically the whole part of diversity porn.
Those orgies have to have diversity quotas.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So, any bukkake has to have representation of like 3 Latino men, 2 black men, 1 white man, and one guy who's like, he says he's 1/16 Cherokee, but he's not. He's just fucking white. Like we know that.
Yeah. Each of those cum shots has to come from a different country. So.
All right. Well, we've alienated, all the good faith listeners. My aunts and co-workers. Let's move on to so what this is the Reckless Musecast. I'm Ben D'Alessio, or I've been making up new ones. This is the Dreckless Fusecast.
Yes,
I'm Ben D'Alessio, and I'm with my co-host Joe Garza in sunny Los Angeles.
Yeah, and we're in the wonderful month of October, which means we're going to be talking about a lot of horror stuff. So I'm very horny right now for horror. So nice. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, one of the main things I want to talk about with this episode was like what makes good. What makes something genuinely scary, specifically movies, but if we talk about like TV shows or books or novels or anything like that, we could talk about it too. But like, one of the things that sort of prompted this was that I just wrote 2 articles. One of them's on Medium now, the other one will be out tomorrow. One is kind of outlining what I think are some of the problems with horror movie scenes, and then the other one is kind of like this is like what good horror movies scary scenes are. And it's something I've been thinking a lot about because for those of you who've been listening for a while, I'm a horror screenwriter, and an aspiring one. It's not like I haven't anything really produced or anything, but one of the things that I keep falling into, one of the challenges I keep running into when I'm writing a horror script is like, how do I make a scary scene? Because so many horror movie scenes, it's just like people being chased, people being murdered, people being trapped in a room or a house or some secluded location, and there's something coming after them. And so like I kind of identified like a lot of some of the trends and what I think are sort of like generic horror scenes, and maybe we'll talk about some like this is what a genuinely scary scene in a movie is like, and here are the things that go into making it a genuinely terrifying scene. Ben, did you have any examples of good or bad horror movie scenes that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think so yeah, we're gonna today's episode is gonna be focused on horror. I'm also a enthusiast, aficionado.
Mm,
I love horror, mostly movies. I like horror books too.
mm.
Um, and I know we touched on it last episode. I think I mentioned the spider walk last episode,
From
Exorcist.
the yeah.
Yeah, that to me was like one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
Mm,
Even today, I watched The Exorcist last year.
mm,
But when I first saw that as probably a young teenager, I
yeah,
would say that it just like stuck with me. It was terrifying. The way they shot that, it's sped up, I believe.
mm,
I don't
uh-huh,
know, Joe, if you know the kind of technicalities behind that.
yeah,
I don't know, just like the imagery. I think we're going over it different, and we'll get more into it this episode. Just like what makes something scary. I do think there's a reason that body horror is so terrifying. I think when it's more natural or practical, like practical effects, we talked about Boutine
yeah,
last episode, which makes it just so much better than computer generated.
yeah,
Just look at, I mean, at perfect examples. Look at The Thing
yeah,
from the 80s and look at The Thing from, was it the 2000s or 2010s?
yeah,
The
yeah,
new thing. It's just like, it's so much, it's so obvious and so much different. And the first one's so much scarier and just like, you just appreciate it more.
yes,
Um, whether it's and another like another one, it's not a horror movie, but like Aliens,
mm.
just another example. I don't know if you've seen Aliens or
Oh
seen it
yeah, yeah,
recently, but when the kind of android character, I forget his name, he gets ripped in half and he's kind of got that like white innards, it's like that
yeah, yeah,
milky white, like that is so incredible to
yeah,
watch. And you can't do that with CGI. Like it's not going to look as good. And that was
right,
just that magical era where the practical effect, it was really the 80s going into the 90s, and then by the mid 90s they started, a lot of movies started relying more on CGI again. But it's just like that magical era in horror where the practical effects were really good.
yeah,
um and we didn't have the computer, the CGI yet.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
production had to actually like spend the money on those things, and it paid off. Like we're talking about these movies to this day, The Exorcist, The
mm,
Thing.
yeah,
We're still talking about them, and they're held up as the best of the best. Doesn't mean there haven't been good horror
yeah,
made in the last 20 years,
yeah.
but I do think there's something special about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when there's something about and I don't hate CGI. I think CGI can be used really well, but I think that too often filmmakers, especially nowadays, have a very lazy attitude when it comes to special effects, which is sort of like, all right, we'll shoot what we can in the camera, and then I'll just pass the footage off to the CGI
Mm.
guys, and then I'll see them in 6 months at the premiere. And I think a really good filmmaker would look at this and be at a film and say, okay, here's what we can do practically, and then here's where CGI can take over, but we'll blend the two, so you can't really tell which is which. So it's a tool to be used, and like any tool, it can be overused or underused, or in the hands of a good artist, it can be used
Yeah.
perfectly. Because I mean, there are definitely some practical effects that look like shit too. So,
Oh,
uh,
totally. Yes, absolutely. And
but
yeah, I don't want to. I don't hate on CGI
yeah,
either. I especially the past probably decade. It's more of that. There was that era where it was all new, and
yeah,
so many movies relied on it. Like I
oh
remember
yeah,
watching The Craft. I don't know. Do you remember The Craft with like
yeah,
the
yeah,
like the when her fingers turn to snakes, and it's just so bad, but at the
yeah,
time it probably seems so cool, and
yeah,
it just doesn't hold up. Like
right,
I'm a big fan of things that, my favorite, the only sneakers I wear are Converses. Like
mm,
I wear Clarks, I wear leather, like a denim jacket. Like I like
yeah,
stuff that lasts. I like things
yeah,
that aren't just trendy but actually last. And there is
right,
something about these horror movies. I don't hate on CGI either. CGI lets us creates things that we just couldn't have in the
yeah,
past, like District 9 for instance comes to
mm,
mind. Like that's an
yeah,
incredible movie.
oh yeah,
um I loved it, and that can only really be done with CGI.
yeah,
But just kind of in the context of classic horror movies, I don't think any hold up, for their, I guess maybe for their body horror gore type,
yeah, yeah,
than what we've already kind of discussed. Maybe I'm
right,
wrong.
right,
I don't know. I could think it out and totally
Yeah,
contradict myself. So to me, okay, so getting back to your question was any scene. So the spider walk, you know, if you have to name a scene that
yeah,
just is scary, it's jarring, it's disturbing,
yeah.
it's interesting. Like I don't know. To me, it just sticks as one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I could go on about others in that movie. I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, we know the tropes. I think we want to talk about tropes also.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the child, especially a young girl,
Mm.
in because it's kind of looked at, you know, the young, especially like the young white girl is the epitome of innocence in our
Yeah.
culture. Like
Right,
it
right.
just is.
Yeah.
And to turn that on its head, to make
Mm.
them possessed or like a zombie or something like that,
Right.
it's scary. And I think that it hits at something kind of cerebral in the
Yeah.
viewer, especially if you have children.
Oh, absolutely. And this reminds me of a really good video essay. I can't remember what channel it was on, but it was on YouTube. And the essay was talking about like what makes something, you know, kind of what makes something genuinely terrifying. And so they were talking about two like kind of similar scenarios, but from different perspectives. So they say, okay, so say there's a movie where there's a scene where a character is watching a news broadcast, and that the news broadcast is about how there's you know, zombies are taking over some city miles away. So yeah, okay, that's scary, that's intense or whatever. But you know, something that is much more terrifying is one zombie, and it's in the baby's room upstairs. So it's like you know, a mass of zombies, but it's miles away, and if you're seeing it on a TV screen, whatever. But like when it's right there and it's like it's hitting close to home, all of a sudden like the stakes just dramatically increase. And also because you know there's the idea of like, you know, something innocent being in danger. That you know the threat is the same. It's zombies, but you know it's the context in which the zombies is being placed into automatically, you know, changes how terrifying it is, whether it's from a distance in a horde or one single one and it's right there and it's right next to something that you care about.
What do
So,
you think about zombie movies? Like I know we talked about this last time, but like,
yeah,
I think we should also talk about some horror subgenres.
yeah, yeah,
We can go to those. Like,
yeah,
do you have an affinity towards zombie, or are you kind of zombied out? I know the
yeah,
2010s were heavy on zombie.
yeah,
I love zombie stuff before the craze. I don't mean to be
yeah.
like that guy. And there
Right,
were
right.
people who love zombie stuff before I was born with George A. Romero, but
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah,
movies. But I always like I found the 2004 Dawn of the Dead terrifying and like one of my favorite movies growing
mm,
up.
yeah,
Maybe I was
yeah,
at that age, like 14, 15 years old.
yeah.
But there's something just really terrifying to me about, and maybe it's because it could be your father, it could be your
Right.
mother, it could be your wife. Like it could just change. I think that's
Yeah.
terrifying. I remember hearing some, but why? But so it's scary, but why it's fun is because I mean I read this somewhere, watched it long ago. It's the closest you get to murder with
Mm,
guilt-free murder,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like you get to kill, you're not killing a literal monster, you're not killing an animal, you're not, you know, it's a humanoid, a human figure that you
Right.
get to shoot in the head.
Yeah.
And there's something enjoyable about that. I think
Yeah.
that, you know, we are animals and we're prone to violence, and it's kind of guilt-free violence.
Right. Right. Yeah, I so kind of like you about like liking the zombie thing before the craze happened. When I was a teenager, I was especially fond of like zombie movies from the 80s, like trashy, low budget
All
zombie
right.
flicks. I loved. I always loved George A. Romero's original Dead trilogy. Um, and I loved, you know, like the sort of offshoots like Return to the Living Dead, and then there's this really stupid one. The 80s hold a very special place in my heart. 80s horror, because they had oftentimes like they would have like the video cover art was way cooler than the actual movie.
Yeah.
And so actually my friend and
That's
roommate,
something we should discuss. We should
I would love
discuss
to talk about this.
what I'm assuming like all of us, our generation, like we grew up going to movie stores.
Yeah.
Still,
The VHS stores. Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, Blockbuster was everywhere. I remember the first ones I went to were called West Coast Video. Ironically,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, West Coast Video that went out of business. Well, Blockbuster's still very much around, but they went out of business. But like, what movie covers do you remember that like scared you or just like memorable?
For me, Hard Rock Zombies. It came out in 1985. It's a really bad, low budget zombie flick, but it is really. It's a good movie to like hate watch with like your friends over like pizza and beer. Where you're saying, "Yeah, this is a stupid movie and stupid music, but it's really wacky." But it had a really cool cover, and I think that the thing about those is that they were hand painted. Like this.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like you can make a very cool, stylish video cover. Just like anybody can do it with basic tools. Like back then, like they were painted. They actually had to like be done by hand. And I remember the cover for Hard Rock Zombies was really cool. It was a cemetery, and then there's like a hand pushing out of like the
Classic,
dirt.
yeah.
And then there's an electric guitar coming out in the hand, which is really cool. Another zombie movie, again, another stupid zombie movie from the 80s that had a really cool VHS cover was The Video Dead.
It was Video Dead.
Yeah, so it was about the like some VHS tape that when you pass it around, it kind of predates The Ring in a way, where it's like if you pass this VHS tape around, then like some dead thing would come out of the screen and.
Yo, did the Ring scare you as a kid? It scared the shit out of me.
A little bit. I think it was one of those ones where like I watched it the week after it came out, so like for the whole week, everybody's talking about how scary it is, and then when I did go see it, I was like, it's pretty scary, but it wasn't as scary as everybody was making it out to be.
Dude, those faces stuck with me so much. Like the distorted, again, it's just that like disturbing body horror that I think that's what scared me the most growing up.
Yeah.
I remember watching like friends play Resident Evil, and that would just scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think for like I remember not even being able to like look at some movie like the boxes on the shelf. I remember there's that, not that this one scared me a lot, but like that Jack Frost one. I don't know why I can remember that. Was that what it's called? Jack Frost, like the snowman, right?
The Killer Snowman. Yeah.
The Killer Snowman, yeah.
Yeah, those movies are pretty garbage.
Have you seen them? Garbage. No.
I only watched the first one. It's pretty bad.
Have you seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Oh yeah, I have actually.
I have it on my list. I don't know. Should I watch it or not? I have it on my list to watch, and I watched the trailer. I'm like, I don't know.
It's really corny.
Yeah,
it's worth the watch. It's worth the watch.
It's worth it.
Yeah, I think so.
All
it's
right.
That's a good one to watch with friends too, and I think it was definitely intentionally campy.
Totally, yeah.
And it does have some really cool creative effects.
Okay.
So it is a fun watch. Like I have a couple of close things for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. One, that they shot part of that in the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, which is where that was like 45 minutes away from where I lived. So I was like, oh, cool, I know where that's
really?
at. Yeah.
Wait, you're from Santa Cruz area?
Santa Cruz is like 45 minutes south of the Bay Area of San
Jose. Isn't that where
Lost Boys?
Yeah, Lost Boys takes place, but they like changed the name.
Yeah, it's like Santa something.
Yeah,
Santa Maria. I don't know. But yeah, and then also parts of.
Isn't it super dangerous?
Not while I was growing up, but I haven't been there in probably like 6 or 7 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were always parts of Santa Cruz that were very grungy, but this grungy in kind of a fun way, where it's like hobos playing guitar and making arts and crafts.
I thought it was like murder capital, like it wasn't extremely, because I thought that's why they picked it for the Lost Boys, and to explain all the murders was because vampires were eating people. But but then I looked it up, because to me it's always crazy for me to think that there's like dangerous beach towns because of the real estate being so profitable,
right?
That you would think that people just buy it up. Like in New Jersey, there's there's not many, but there's like a handful of like still kind of dangerous or relatively dangerous kind of grungy beach towns, which is so weird to think about.
Yeah, you think it'd be a very desirable place to live, and
because people would just buy the properties, knock them down, and build up. That's like that's what a lot of the shores. So especially in California. But anyway, I thought that was really surprising. Good movie, also with good practical effects in Lost Boys.
Yep.
Apparently, I read, or I watched a video on it that the their eyes, like their vampire eyes, those were like glass contacts or something, so they actually couldn't like blink or something like that. So that tear that goes down what's his name's face, that like classic, who's like the main vampire,
it was
Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah, that was just like perfectly timed. Like he didn't do that on purpose, that was just natural.
That's crazy.
Like perfectly timed up. Yeah, but I thought that was really cool. Again, it's one of those things that like actors would not do that today. Probably they would just change the eyes in post. Like they wouldn't have them wear, probably rightfully so, extremely dangerous glass contacts. Not saying I would either, but it lasts. It's cool for the movie.
Yeah. And I think with those types of contacts back in the 80s, I think towards like later in the 80s and into the 90s, they started getting better with color and contacts. But back then, because they were glass, you could only wear them for like 30 minutes at a time and then take them off for a few minutes and put them back on for 30 minutes.
If 30 minutes, I think it was even less than that. So what scenes were, I mean, so you wrote this article for the publication.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about that. So it was more about, there's tropes and what's not good horror, what's kind of lazy horror. Like, do you want to get into that?
Yeah, so I want to talk about one horror trope in particular that really pisses me off, and it has mostly to do with ghost movies. And I just watched 13 Ghosts.
Did you?
Yeah, with F. Murray Abraham and Monk. It was Tony Shalhoub, I think. I watched it last week with my roommate, and
I've seen it in so long.
It's pretty stupid, but it's fun. It's kind of like House on Haunted Hill, where it's really dumb, but it's surprisingly entertaining and has some fun parts. But anyway, I see this so often in ghost movies, where you have, so a ghost typically in movies has the ability to turn visible as well as be invisible, but they always do this thing that pisses me off. Why would you, as a ghost, turn visible while your victim's back is to you? And then when the victim turns around, you turn invisible again. It's like, it's something that they do just for the audience's sake. It's like it has nothing to do with the plot. It has nothing to do with the logic or any kind of consistency with the story. But it's like, it's just a stupid trick that they do, in ghost movies, particularly, and other horror movies too. But it's like, I'm so sick of it. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It pisses me off so much. It's like, why would you do it as a ghost? God, it pisses me. I'm gonna punch something now. But it's just like, I don't know. Are there any horror movie trends or like tropes that you don't like?
Well, you mentioned it, and it's the jump scares, and that's kind of like everyone could kind of point that out there because they're cheap. They can be fun, especially when there's like the fake jump scare. The babysitter has the refrigerator open, and when she shuts it, you're expecting there to be someone, and there's not. Right? That's like messing with expectations, which is good. You need to do that. You don't want to be predictable, but the jump scares are they're cheap. They're like, we talked about Paranormal Activity. It's kind of just a movie about jump scares. They serve their purpose, but I give more, like I said, I've said before, I rate and review movies, and I always give a lot more credit to movies that can scare you in other ways that are just disturbing, and whether psychologically disturbing or body horror or whatever it is. But I guess jump scares would be the main one.
Jump scares piss me off too. Because for starters, they almost never serve any real purpose. Again, kind of like the ghost thing. It's like, other than messing with the audience, it has no relevance to the plot. It's not like, this is a movie where like we're trapped in a house with ghosts who are known for sneaking up on you. It's like, okay, at least you're consistent with the logic, but it's like, no, most jump scares are just for the audience benefit and for no other reason. Although some jump scares can be done well. I think that if anything, the false scare annoys me. Like, again, this is another one that gets on my nerves. It's a scenario that I've seen in several films where you have a character, usually a female, and she's working late at her office or something, or at the store or whatever. And then she's the last one there, so she's closing down. And then she hears a weird noise, and she goes, "Hey, is anybody here? Hello, Billy, is that you? Johnny,
is anybody there?
Jessica, is that you?" is a few more moments of silence, and she turns around, and then there's her coworker.
I mean, they even make fun of that in Scary Movie when the girl's in the garage. She's like, "Oh, horsey!" It's a horse goes by.
Yeah. but the reason why, again, like it defies logic. It's like if you're a coworker, if you're an employee at this company and you just left this one last employee there, and you go back to go get your purse or whatever, and your coworker's there, and she's yelling out, "Hey, is anybody there? Billy, is that?" Why don't you say, "Oh, hey, it's just me. I'm just here to grab my thing." So no, I'm going to stand right behind the person. So they turn around. It's a stupid, dumb.
Do you ever like have a situation where there's the potential for it to be scary, like in real life?
Yeah.
And all of your thoughts are kind of like movie thoughts, because that's where 99.9% of scary shit happens, like not really in our everyday lives.
Right.
And the vast majority of it's just in movies. Like, do you think, like, I remember one time my shed, the light was on. And like racing through my head was like all these thoughts about movies, how to handle the situation, and like what the idiots in the movies are always doing. I ended up going out there with a samurai sword, and it turns out my parents had just left it on when they were over. My dad was over and in the shed, but he was like, "Do you need me to come over and turn it off?" I'm like, "No, I got it." but anyway, like it's just what so what other I mean, we keep talking tropes. Jump scares are a big one, kind of like the one that's always said now that even they make fun of in commercials, like the dumb decisions.
Yes.
Did you ever see that movie, by the way? I don't know what it's called, but it's like, it's a horror movie where all the characters don't make the stupid decisions. Like that's the point. And I don't even know, I should have researched this before the episode. I didn't know anything about it, but I remember like seeing something for that where it's like all the teenagers don't do the dumb decisions, and like what actually happens, like not going in the place with no electricity that's allegedly haunted, or that
I'm not sure. Was it a comedy? Was it kind of like
I guess it was supposed to be a comedy, but not like a Scary Movie type comedy.
Right.
I don't think, not like a ham-fisted kind of satire. I think it was just like they, I don't know. This is bad radio. Because someone's like yelling about it. Like I don't know what it rings a bell where that was the draw of the movie.
I wonder if what you're thinking of is a comedy horror film that I really enjoyed. It's called Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
No, I know Tucker and Dale. It's not that.
Oh, I love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I know Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yeah. I love, campy stuff is super fun. We talked about Evil Dead before. I think that's kind of the perfect campy. I didn't love Army of Darkness, but I think the first two are just the pinnacle of camp horror.
Yeah.
Like it's not, I don't want it overdone. That's why I asked about Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I was like, is this going to be too much?
Yes, it will be.
So it gets it will.
It will be.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck. Is it violent or is it like silly?
I mean, it's PG-13, so it's the violence is at that level. But there are some really stupid lines. Like there was one line where like they go into like the spaceship of the clowns, and like it's in the shape of like a circus tent. And then they're walking through the spaceship, and again, it's all circusy. One of the characters says something like, "Oh, where these guys shop at? Clowns are us." And it's just like,
it's rough, dude. You're not making me want to watch this movie. Like it's short. I think it's like less than an hour and a half, but like you're not making me want to watch this movie.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
If you watch it, probably watch it under the influence of something.
Yeah. Definitely, most definitely.
Well, one thing I do like, why I do have some kind of attachment to that though as well, is because Universal Studios, which I'm actually going to tomorrow night, every year for Halloween they do this Halloween Horror Nights thing, where they have all these cool mazes, and they're all based on movies or TV shows or franchises. So this year they're doing an Exorcist themed one.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and so they the year before that they did, or I think it was 2019. They did Jordan Peele's Us. They did a bunch of them, but also it was also in 2019. They did a Killer Clowns from Outer Space one, And I
Oh,
thought that
really?
was cool because that movie, it's kind of obscure. It's not a very
Yeah,
famous
I don't think a lot
film.
of people know that compared to The
Yeah,
Exorcist and Us.
yeah, exactly. And so like it was a fun little attraction. But I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Like this dumb horror comedy from the '80s that I liked as a kid. Now it's like it's a huge attraction at Universal Studios. And when you go to the gift shop, they have Killer Clowns from Outer Space
Are
T-shirts and
you
stuff like that.
are you afraid of clowns?
No,
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't. That was like an internet thing a few years ago. I feel like it's cooler. It's like to say you're cool. Like, dude, fuck clowns.
yeah,
Like became. It was like people were calling it out. Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's not. You're not actually afraid of clowns. You think it's cool to say fuck clowns. I don't know. I think my brother's freaked out by clowns. I'll ask him. But I know that's almost like I don't know if it's a trope, but this is one of those things that people say, and I don't know if it's actually true because how common are clowns anymore? Like,
right,
do kids birth? I feel like there was maybe an age in the if you were growing up in like the 70s or something
yeah,
where clowns actually were at birthday parties,
yeah,
like John Wayne Gacy or something.
right, yeah,
But I don't think that's really a thing anymore. Do people
yeah.
have clowns? I mean, I'm sure the clown union is not going to be happy with me after this, but it just I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
I don't know
attracted
how
to
many people run into them.
clowns and horror movies. I think it's really played out, and I think especially with like the prevalence of the new Stephen King's It, the two parters is kind of like,
I wanted to talk about that
yeah.
actually. So I'm glad you brought that up. I actually thought the first It was terrifying. I don't know
The one with
why.
the one with Tim Curry.
No, like
Oh, the first
the
chapter of that
first
one.
one, the first chapter of the, and it's not because of the clown really. Like I'm
Yeah,
not. It's not like, oh my god, there's a clown with is it Bill Skarsgård? Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
I know it's a Skarsgård. I forget if it's Bill. And but I found it terrifying and like a really good movie, and I think I liked it a lot more than most people. I didn't love the second chapter of it, but what did you think of the first one?
I actually still haven't seen that one.
Oh,
I haven't seen those. I've seen a lot of parts of it, but I haven't seen it. I think maybe because like I read the novel and I loved like the first,
yeah.
like a lot of Stephen King books, like where it's like, yeah, like most of it's great, but the ending's kind of dumb. And then I saw the original TV series one with Tim Curry,
Wait,
and I think, and then I was just kind of like,
did you see the second part to it? Did you
uh,
see the second part to it? The new ones?
no, no, I still haven't seen it. No,
So because it's funny you say that because one of the characters obviously playing
I saw that scene, the Stephen King cameo where he makes a joke about the ending sucking
yeah,
his dick.
yeah,
Yeah,
and how his books can't end. Is that I've read some Stephen King. I want to read it. It's actually on my list. I want to read The
yeah.
Stand. Is that hold up? Does he not end his books well?
I've read 5 or 6 of his books, and I would say like it's probably like 50-50. Like I think like
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, like I'm so into this, I'm so into this, and then it's like,
Have you read The
but
Running Man?
I
Or
still haven't read that one though.
yeah,
No.
I read it. I can't remember if it had a bad ending though. I already knew the whole story. And do you see the movie for it? Running Man,
Yeah, yeah, the
Run.
Schwarzenegger.
It
Yeah, I
is.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a fun one. I like that
it's
one.
fun. It's ridiculous, but
Yeah,
it's fun. It's different. The book's different. It's not like the movie's kind of better in a way because the uh hunters or whatever they are kind of like more like characters, and there's a reason that they had all these like WWE or WWF and like football players and stuff because they are
yeah,
kind of these characters. They don't really
yeah,
do that in the book. They're just like guys, like
yeah,
just
yeah.
guys who can blend in, and that was fun. But um
That was when Stephen King was writing as was it Richard Bachman?
yeah, yeah, Richard Bachman.
Yeah, that was funny. Like that was a weird experiment because I think wasn't it like he was testing to see if people were buying his novels because of his name or because he's a
Yeah,
genuinely good writer. So when he
yeah.
started writing as Richard Bachman and his books flopped, and he goes, "Okay, it's the name,
What is that? What happened? I thought people liked him. Oh,
Richard Bachman."
that's. I mean, there is that point as a writer, you get what I call it, and I actually this is an original thought that I had.
Yeah,
I'm not stealing this from someone. Like, there's a point where the writer, you've made it when your name appears larger than your title. Like, and you can
yeah,
tell, and like Stephen King is a perfect example of that. Like,
yeah,
the Stephen King appears larger than the title now, and
right,
on the reprints of books because people just look for the name. Same with John Grisham, same with like Isabel Allende and Danielle Steele, and these people, like that's all you see. The name is completely stylized, and that's what people go and grab, and they read the same Danielle Steele book on.
Oh yeah.
my cat always takes a shit and then he just like runs around the house like, oh, I'm fast as fuck, boy. He's doing that. Hey, take it easy.
Tomper does that with like as soon as he drops off some dead weight, and he's like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. There's like, oh, I'm light now, I can run fast as fuck, boy. Oh, here he goes. Oh shit, there he goes. I don't know if you can hear it. So what are some of the scariest scenes that come to mind for you?
Actually, I just watched one last night with a roommate. It's an Irish horror film, came out last year. It's called Caveat, and it's about this drifter, this amnesiac drifter who gets hired to go take care of a young girl.
Was that Keller?
No, just watch her because her dad.
That's like the mafia blood in me being like Keller, take care of her. I heard you paint houses. Like literally take care of her bed, and you fucking psychopath.
Yeah, man. But so he gets hired by some dude who's like, hey, look, I'll pay you $200 a day. She lives in a remote house out in the countryside. I'll give you $200 a day, or euros, or Irish bucks, or lucky
please.
bucks.
Okay, sorry. When you're doing please use an accent when you're
Ireland. Yeah. So I'll just sound like Darby O'Gill in a little.
Oh, I'm gonna go take care of a girl. And there goes our Irish fan base. Well, fuck them then. I need to hate someone. I don't hate the Australians anymore.
Oh yeah, because they got rid of the lockdown.
Oh no, they very much love the lockdown. They just fought back. Some of them.
Oh, they just fought back.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this guy gets hired by some dude to go take care of his niece. She's out there in the countryside. I seem to watch her for a few days. And the guy's like, all right, fine. So he takes him there, and then he's like, oh, hey, by the way, the house is on an island, a little island out in the lake. And he goes, hey, you didn't say it was out that isolated. He goes, hey, I told you it was isolated. What does it matter? And it's all right, fine. So he takes him there. He goes, she gets really catatonic. Just make sure she doesn't kill herself or do anything too crazy. So like this girl, just like at random times, she'll just like put her hands over her eyes, and then she'll just like stand there for hours on end. So just keep an eye on her, sort of thing. He goes, all right, fine. And but anyway, there's I won't get too much into it, but there's all this crazy stuff with the island and like who killed who and blah blah. There's a part in the film that scared the shit out of me and my roommate last night, where the main character, he's trapped downstairs in the cellar in sort of like a boarded off room, and there's a corpse. There's a smiling corpse there. Yeah, like the eyes are open. Yeah, she's smiling, and she's looking at him the whole time. And so he's got a saw, and he's trying to cut his way out of this boarded off room. Yeah. And so it's cool. He's like in this cramped little space, and he's got a flashlight. And every time he turns to the flashlight, the corpse has moved just a little bit, but it's still smiling at him. It's just still staring at him.
Yeah, that's scary shit.
Yeah, and then there's a part where he's like, all right, I'm sick of this face looking at me. So he takes his beanie off, and he wraps it over the face of the corpse. He goes, I don't want this thing looking at me. So he starts sawing through the wall again, and he turns back, and now the beanie, there's a hole in the beanie, and you see like this eye just staring at him.
Oh man,
it's like, oh my god, my
great.
Friend, I know check it out. It's totally worth a watch. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's kind of a weird, kind of an absurdist horror film. Like it has a sort of uncanny valley vibe to it, where like just like the atmosphere is slightly off. So there's just sort of like weird dread hanging over the whole film. And it's got a lot of really original scares. So I definitely recommend Caveat.
Speaking, so then that'll bring me to it's actually Scottish island movie that I just watched, which is the Classic Wicker Man.
Oh, how was that? The original?
Oh yeah, no, the original.
Okay,
it's fantastic. Like excellent movie. Like very. I guess I'll put this in. It didn't get too 70s on you. You could definitely tell it was made in the 70s, but it was in 270s. It didn't get into kind of too psychedelic and out there.
Right.
But it was grounded enough, but it still had its psychological aspects to it. And I mean, you could just see where Midsummer, which we talked about last episode, which we both love,
Yep.
how much Midsummer was like, how much it inspired Midsummer.
Yeah.
Daylight horror, not nearly as gory or graphic as Midsummer, but just excellent movie.
Yeah.
An absolute classic.
I need to check that one out. That's still on my list, and I'm kind of ashamed that I haven't seen that one yet.
And then Nick Cage obviously hams it up, and I love Nick Cage. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Not the bees! Oh, not the bees! I didn't take your goddamn honey!
How to get burned? How to get burned?
How to get burned? I don't know. Yeah, there's this video that you should go look up after this episode. It's called Nick Cage losing his shit, that we used to pregame to in college all the time. It was like, and they could probably add to it now, because that was probably like 8-9 years ago at this point that we were watching that. And he's made a lot of movies since then where he also loses his shit, and it's amazing. You don't realize until how much he loses his shit until you watch that.
Okay.
Like, oh my god, he loses his shit in every single movie, and that one has a bunch. And he like punches the girl in the face.
Yeah, it seems I see a supercut of the Nick Cage Wicker Man, and he beats up a lot of women in that movie.
Oh yeah, he's a piece of shit.
So he's punching and kicking and knocking over women.
Yeah, no, there's none of that in the original. It's like a police. I don't really remember like in that. It's honey, and the original is apples. Like their apple harvest, and they have to make a sacrifice, and it's a police officer who's like a very religious Christian, and they're all pagans with their island life, and it's fun, it's creepy, it's enjoyable, it's a good story. And the Wicker Man himself, again, it's just I don't remember the Nick Cage one, maybe they did, but they actually built the fucking thing. Like it's a huge, I think, right? They had to have. The movie's 1973. They built this huge wooden statue type, the hollow statue creature thing. And I read that the director, I forget who it is right now, the screenwriter, whoever, got the idea from reading, I think, Julius Caesar's chronicles about the Gauls. Like when Julius Caesar fought the Gauls, he basically committed genocide against them. That's a good, who does hardcore history? Harlan? Do you know the podcast Hardcore History?
Oh yeah, Jim Harlan or
Dan Harlan?
Yeah,
something like that. That's a good episode. Anyway, plug for him. Plug for Dan Harlan, who doesn't need any help advertising. He's incredible. But anyway, how like they had a structure somewhat like that, like a human-esque structure that they would burn people alive in. Very cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love folk horror. It's a cool genre. Like, and one of the themes that often pops up in those things is sort of like the clash of like modernity with legendary and folklore. Sort of like the modern world and clashing with the old world and sort of forgotten beliefs and things. And I've always loved that clash. It makes for a lot of really fun drama. Speaking of folk horror, there's a pretty good one. I think it's on Netflix right now. It's called The Ritual.
Oh yeah, I have that. I think on my watch list.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
Ritual. Yeah, I think I have that in the Apostle.
Yeah,
but
Apostle's good. Another really good.
We talked about that. The
one.
Ritual.
The Ritual is a group of friends that go backpacking. I can't remember where. Somewhere in Europe. I think it's a British film. But they go backpacking, and there's like some kind of like weird Norse god demon thing out in the woods. It's a pretty cool creature feature, and but it's never too schlocky. Like it never feels too like exploitative or cheesy. Like there's actually like like there's some genuine suspense here. And there's decent acting and good drama. So
let's talk best monsters.
Yeah,
best movie monsters.
Yeah,
you go first because I can't think of
it. I love monster movies, but I also feel like they're rarely ever scary because I think for me, like when something is very physical, when it's like a thing that you can outrun or kill, and it's kind of like but
how every monster movie is just actually we're the monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We kind of flip it, yeah.
That's another trope. We're the zombies. We're the problem. Like, no,
Right.
they are. They are.
Yeah.
They are. We create civil society. They're the
Yeah.
monsters, but it's fine. I get it.
But one thing I do love about monster flicks, though, and again, going back to like that '80s and early '90s thing of like, when it's handmade, when it's practical effects, it's like, it rarely ever scares me because I still know that it's just an animatronic or a guy in a suit. But I still love the artistry of like having to like make a monster and like build it and like how we're gonna shoot it and from what angles and it's just the artistry of making a cinematic monster. I think is something that I'll always love.
This is I'm just kind of shooting at the hip here because I'm just like, going through my Rolodex of like horror movie stuff. Do you know a movie I think is awesome that's really underrated or not very well liked? It's 30 Days of Night.
Is that
you like that
vampire one?
They're vampires, but like they're fucking not. Like these are the vampires that I remember when I wrote about it when I watched it maybe 2-3 years ago. I'm like, if this was the vampire craze and not Twilight and shit, like I would have been a part of the vampire craze. Like they don't suck your blood; they just like rip your throat out.
Okay,
they're totally badass. It's such a cool plot. I mean, I think it's based on a graphic novel.
Yes.
Where it's in Alaska and the sun doesn't shine for 30 days, so they can come out and like feed during that time. And they're just like totally. It's such a grim movie. They do the Chekhov's gun principle with like, I know I talked about this last episode, with some type of not meat grinder, but some device that is used to destroy metal or scrap or something like that. And of course they tease it early and then someone goes into it later. It's totally badass.
Cool.
I remember watching that. I feel like it doesn't get a lot of love. I think it's a great movie.
Okay, I'll check that one out.
It's super it's super depressing.
I love that in horror movies where they're like they're real downer type things.
This is it. This is
okay, good. Yeah, I love downer endings though because to me it I think it's a great way, at least when it's done well. It's an effective way for the horror to kind of haunt you after the film has ended, where it's like, there's no matter how much you fight or how hard you try or how long you try to outrun it, like it'll always follow you.
This has one of the best. So the vampires, I'll call them that, even though they're more like monsters. Like they don't really talk, but they can. They more like screech at each other. But like one of the leader, who's actually the actor. Did you? I think we should talk about American Horror Story actually. But did you watch it at all?
No,
never watched it.
Chance. Yeah.
Well, for the listeners, he's the axe murderer, the axe man in season 3 in New Orleans. So anyway, same actor. But in the movie, he has one of the most disturbing lines and one of the best delivered lines I've ever heard in a horror movie. And it's like the context is they like pull this girl out of her home or like hiding under a car or something like that, and they kind of surround her and she's just like terrified. She knows she's gonna die and she's like covered in blood and crying, and she's like, oh my God, please someone, please God help me, God. And he leans in close and goes, no God. And it's just like such a disturbing line the way he says it, because he hasn't really spoken at that point.
Yeah.
Like he's like looks at her and goes like, no God. And it's just it sends chills down my spine.
That's cool. I like that.
Totally badass.
Yeah. I love that sort of Lovecraftian thing of like even if we've sort of prevented this threat from taking over, all we did was slow it down. It's still coming after us. I don't know if you've read much of H.P. Lovecraft.
I obviously know a lot. I know a lot of his work. I know Cthulhu and Cthulhu, yeah. And I haven't probably read cover to cover any of his work, but I know a lot of it. I know, that a lot of them take place in New England, and it's kind of like what's bubbling under the surface and things like that. I saw you wrote about him also because, racism. Because racism. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe guys who lived back then, they weren't the most tolerant, sensitive people to homosexuals and people of other races and stuff. Like, I think we can separate the person from the work, and also that standards were different, and maybe he was a bastard for that time too. But doesn't mean, again, it's always the same thing. And we talked about censorship pretty much every episode because it's part of what the show's about.
Yeah.
Anti-censorship, of course,
Yeah.
but like, let's separate the work from the artist.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, and maybe the
And
artist is fine too.
And it's pretty easy to do with Lovecraft because I think like the racism was often so overt. It was easy to just kind of like, yeah, all right, like I'm just gonna ignore that and just like you know,
overt in the writing, like
yeah,
he like
you'd use the N-word and stuff.
Oh, geez, right.
Yeah, yeah, and there were some negative stereotypes. But here's the thing: he died in 1937. So
yeah, it's when he died, right?
Yeah.
He died in 1937.
Like, we can't expect this guy to like leap out of his skin and like adopt modern progressive sensibilities.
Yeah, obviously.
And so yeah, I wrote that article, and I think the article was something like, reading Lovecraft for racial sensitivity is like watching porn for the plot. It's like nobody reads Lovecraft because they want to learn how to like interact with other races. Like, no, you read Lovecraft for the horror, and that's it.
I think I've heard people say, by the way, that it's like, oh, I need a storyline for porn. It's like, no, you fucking don't.
Yeah, I know.
No, you don't give me that. Like, you don't like. Yeah. It's like Big Lebowski. He knocks on the guy in the porno, like knocks on the door. It's like, hey, I'm here to fix the cable. And then the girl Maud next to him's like, well, you can imagine what happens next. And he's like, he fixes the cable. Carl Hungus. Anyway,
but yeah, like I keep seeing articles every year around this time of year. I see articles coming out where it's like, here are 5 Lovecraftian non-problematic authors that you can read. It's like, no, are you that much of a pussy where you can't read Lovecraft without being offended? It's like, yeah, okay, this is bad, but whatever. I'm just here for the monsters. So and the other thing too, why because I can't remember which award. Maybe it's the World Fantasy Award. Anyway, there's some kind of some kind of awards thing that goes out to like horror and fantasy authors. And for the longest time, the actual statue was a bust of Lovecraft, but then they got rid of it a few years ago, and they changed it to something else.
What award was this for?
I think it's the World Fantasy Award. I don't know, some
oh, fantasy.
Yeah, something like that.
The Bram Stoker Award, isn't that horror? I've submitted to that before. I didn't win. I didn't win. I submitted.
Oh, okay. Well, wait, so you submitted a horror story to that?
Yeah. I've written. I know it's hard to categorize maybe some of them. I've written at least one overtly horror story.
Okay, cool.
Hallucinogenic Jimmy. And then I actually just wrote one that I'm going to be sending you shortly.
I'll be sure to reject it.
Yeah, it's this is about the plague, and Hallucinogenic Jimmy was about like a kid who gets killed in like a shootout, in the middle of a shootout, and then like they bury his body, and then the mushrooms that grow from his body hallucinate him, and he gets his revenge and all that good shit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really neat. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And if anybody else out there has some short horror stories, feel free to.
No, you're not allowed. Only mine. It was actually a story. No, you should totally submit. Yes, we want to submit everything to the Reckless Muse Medium page. But it's actually a story that I wrote in high school. Like I didn't submit. Like I wrote in high school, and then I don't know what happened to that. Right? That was the mid 2000s, but the idea always stuck with me. They're like, I'm going to rewrite that story as like a more seasoned author. And I did that. But I remember I wrote that for like a high school creative writing class, like the horror theme.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was something else that I can get angry about or happy about?
Yeah, we don't have to get angry every episode. Sometimes we tend to. I tend to.
Yeah.
This is also, kind of my therapy, where I just kind of yell into the void, whoever's listening, and that void includes you. And then
speaking of the void, there's that horror movie, The Void. Have you seen that one?
The Void. I don't think so.
I think it's on Netflix. It's a very Lovecraftian one. Yeah, it came out within the last few years. It's a very Lovecraftian one. Didn't care much for the plot, but that's
a big part of a movie.
I didn't care much for like the cinematic aspects of the movie, but
all right. No, I get that. There's some fun take. I mean, that's a big part of a movie. Is the
Yeah,
plot,
I mean,
but
like,
I guess not always.
let me put it this way. Like, I thought the setup was really good. I didn't think the payoff was particularly good. Is a more specific way of saying that. Um, but I think you will like it because it has some really cool, all practical, very the thing like monster effects if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was actually part of like a crowdfunding thing of like, hey, this is like a throwback to like the
Really?
thing, the alien.
Okay.
Yeah,
I gotta look this up real quick. Keep
yeah,
talking.
it's called The Void. It's a very Lovecraftian
Void.
film. It's got some pretty cool, creepy scenes, and there's plenty of gore and blood and guts and stuff.
It's actually about Kathy Griffin's vagina.
Oh,
Did you know that
yes.
that's what's actually a metaphor for? It's actually a metaphor.
Is that like a Reddit thing?
2016. No, I just made that up.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Just now. I just made that up.
You kids and your metaphors.
Guillermo del Toro was working on the unfinished. Oh, okay, never mind. Anyway, what do you think about? Oh, so all right, there's a nice little segue. Guillermo del Toro, keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
What do you think about? He has some pretty good monsters in his
Yes.
movies. The who's the hand guy in Pan's Labyrinth? What's he called? Like the faceless man or something?
Doug Jones?
Doug
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Are you talking about the actor who plays?
No, not the actor. The guy, the character.
Oh yeah.
That guy, he puts that's who the actor is.
I think his name is
That
Doug Jones.
was a Spanish guy who does like tons of those roles.
No, I know he had to learn Spanish for Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, really? Oh, you're right, Doug Jones.
Yeah.
I know this guy. There's a Spanish actor too who has the Pale Man. That's it. Who the Spanish actor who has that? I don't know if it's a disease or whatever. I don't, whatever. I don't want to say deformity. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be sensitive here. Where his kind of arms and legs are longer and kind of gives him that gait or whatever it is, that kind of naturally scary body because it's not atypical or whatever. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I can't remember he plays this actor. Oh, brought up before, Wreck. Have you watched Wreck yet?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
You have to. Well, he plays, I don't want to give it away, but he plays a really good monster in that, I believe. Let me double check. Because that's a Spanish movie, so that makes sense. Oh yeah, I think it's Javier Botet. Often cast in creature roles because, well, why? Oh yeah, so he was Marfan syndrome.
Okay.
The hyperlaxity of certain body tissues brought about by Botet's condition has given him extremely long and fine fingers, along with a tall, thin build, standing at 6'7". Oh my God, 123 pounds. 6'7". Oh, he's in the Conjuring movies. Scary Stories Tell in the Dark. What you wrote about something in your new piece. You brought up the Conjuring, the newest one, which I thought was not very good.
Yeah.
Why'd you bring that up?
I brought it up because it's part of like this thing in recent horror films where it's like they seem to be taking more cues from like action and war movies rather than like actual horror stuff, where it's like it's just like an explosion of stuff happening. It's yelling and bright lights and propulsive music and crazy loud effects, loud sound effects. And it's like, yeah, but like that's just a barrage of visceral things. It's not like terror. It's not like you're revealing a terrifying truth or a revelation. It's not like a bizarre, unsettling image. It's just like a big explosion of stuff. Like it's like like this. I feel like I'm watching like the opening to Saving Private Ryan. It's a bunch of shit's happening. So yeah, and that really pisses me off, and I feel better about myself now. I'm glad I got that off my chest.
I don't know. I thought they kind of did a bait and switch with the latest Conjuring. To be honest, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like what Exorcism of Emily Rose turned out to be, where they really focus on a trial.
Yeah.
They're like fucking wasn't at all. Like,
maybe we should, because you're a lawyer by day, maybe we should talk about the way like trials are depicted in movies. Like, do you have any like strong opinions on that?
Definitely. Yes. Let's do that another episode. We could do like
another episode. Yeah.
I love lawyer movies. I love courtroom dramas, as
Yeah,
they call
yeah.
them. Very fun. Yeah, some are great and some are just like fucking terrible.
I think my favorite courtroom drama is probably the Verdict. It's not a scary movie, but that's a really good one.
Yeah,
Paul Newman.
Verdict's great. Yeah, Paul Newman. It's like a
Yeah.
pharmaceutical company, right? He goes up
Yeah.
against, or
It was a hospital at a part of a
a
church.
hospital. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Yeah, that
And this is a spooky church, though. It's a
Yeah,
spooky
so the one
hospital.
thing, one of them that was in recent memory that was so ridiculous was it was the show. Oh fuck, Big Little Lies. Yeah.
Okay.
Overall, really good show. Excellent acting.
Yeah.
Season one was fantastic. End of season two. I mean, this has been out for a few years now, so I'm gonna spoil it. End of season two is a courtroom drama, and it's like it's as if they didn't consult any attorney on this, and no one knew the basics. It was like the judge just said, "I'm gonna have the defendant go first in this matter." Like, what? That's never happened. They would never do it. That doesn't make sense. Like, what are you talking about? You have the defendant go first. Like, oh, and other things. And some lawyer did write a very funny, snarky piece on it, about like all the cinema sins, as we would say,
Yeah, yeah.
in it, but not cinema sins. I should say lawyer sins in
Right.
the movie, but.
It
Yeah.
just reminds me so
we
much.
can do that for an episode. I'd love to do that.
We'll get back to horror, but this is a very short one and a very humorous one. It was in Batman Forever with Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. So in the movie, he plays lawyer. Before he became Two-Face, he played Harvey Dent, and they showed how he became Two-Face, like how half his face got fucked up.
Yeah,
And he was in court and going up against some like the local crime family or whatever. And then the guy who was on the stand, like he had like a jar of acid that you usually carry with you into court, and he threw it at Harvey Dent's face. But Batman came and like he blocked it, and so it only covered half his face. It was like, was Batman just hanging out in the courtroom? Like, what kind of a courtroom is this with Batman and like acid? Like he's bringing jars of acid. But anyway, I just want. I'm pretty sure that there's a little bit of fiction. There's a little bit of creative license there.
Yeah, they usually check. They usually check you on the way in. But hey, I mean, sneak it in.
Gotham City is a lot of the jungle. Yeah. But anyway, horror, scary, spooky dooky things. Let's talk about something that we like. Mulholland Drive. Have you ever seen Mulholland Drive?
No, but I'm gonna watch before I come to LA.
Yes, that's what you have to watch.
I have LA centric movies.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean it's
to watch.
It's less than a month that you're gonna be here, man.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna set up. We're gonna do a couple eps in person.
Yeah, that'd be wild. But Mulholland Drive, it's not a particularly scary movie, but it does have one very creepy scene. I linked it in the thing.
Well, don't. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna give away the payoff, but I will say that it's over the course of 5 minutes or so, and it's just two guys talking for the most part. And sorts of, it's just one guy is talking to another guy about a nightmare that he had at a diner, and it's broad daylight, and the nightmare that he has took place at that diner, and that's all I'm going to say on that. But it's like it's a great example of like, okay, this is a pretty generic, it's a dialogue scene, whatever, but it gets a little more tense, and then you think, oh, they're not going to do what you think they're going to do, and then that's all I'll say. But it's like, it's got a really good payoff, especially in the context of the movie that's not a horror movie, but it is a bizarre, uncanny valley, absurd type of movie. It's a very creepy scene.
Speaking of payoff, what about Saw? Like, do you remember the first time you saw Saw?
I still never even saw the first time. I've only seen
what?
I know.
How have you not seen the first one? It's like the only one worth watching.
I know. I watched Saw 5.
Why? Why do you subject yourself to that? That's torture enough. They should torture people in Saw 6 watching Saw 5. Like that should be the torture methods.
Jumping into a movie series and then the 5th installment.
Yeah.
A group of my stupid friends wanted to watch a scary movie, and then that was the only one that was playing that week. So, all right, let's go check out Saw 5.
I'm shocked you haven't seen Saw. Do you know how it ends at all?
Yeah.
Oh, if you know how it ends, dude, that was one of the best payoffs at the end of a movie, like spanning genres.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like, it was incredible. Oh, well, wait. So you do know what happens?
I know what happened. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I've seen
So
like
tell me what happens.
it turned out that the killer was in the room the whole time.
Yeah. Oh well, you ruined it for everyone else.
You asked.
No, I'm kidding. That movie's like it's like 15 years
15,
old.
yeah,
More than that, probably, right? I don't know when Saw came out.
Early
Mid 2000s, early 2000s. Yeah.
after 9/11.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a very good movie. Also, it was Expectation. Danny Glover dies. It was Shattered. Fuck. All right.
That's why he wasn't
Now
in
I can
part
watch
5.
it.
No,
Yeah, now I can't watch it. Oh,
I know.
apparently Spiral was a load of warm crap. I
Yeah.
don't know if you
Saw
saw it.
5 was actually pretty bad.
I think I saw. I actually haven't seen 5. I think I've seen 1 through 3.
Yeah.
But you don't need to see. Probably 1 and 2 would be enough. Definitely enough. Maybe just 1.
I'll definitely watch the first one because again, everybody tells me that where it's like, yeah, like forget the 18 sequels. Just watch the first one. It's more in suspense and it's more thought provoking. It's more.
Well, if you know what happens, it's probably still a very enjoyable movie.
I'm sure I'll appreciate it. Like if anything, spoilers don't bother me that much. Like I've gotten to this point in life where it's like I'm so obsessed with film and filmmaking.
Yeah.
Where it's like even if I know like the big twist or the big reveal, I'm like, okay, like I'm here for the ride. Like I want to see how they play with my expectations. I want to see how they get there.
Sure.
So spoilers don't really bother me that much. So
yeah. What are some of the scariest scenes to you though? I feel like that's what we've been trying to get this whole time, and we've just been like going off on tangents. What is the scariest scene for you?
I talked about Caveat. That's definitely up there for me. This is another one. Hereditary.
Oh yeah, Caveat.
Hereditary. One of the scariest scenes for me was near the beginning. It was when Toni Collette's character is going through her recently deceased mother's stuff, and she kind of sees like some of the occult stuff. She's like, all right, whatever, I'm done with this, and then she puts the box away, and then she turns the light off, and then as she looks in the corner, she sees the ghost of her mom, like just standing there in the corner. And then she turns the light off, and of course she disappears. But like, not only is it terrifying in like a kind of generic, or I shouldn't say generic, but like it's creepily shot. It's shot in a way that where it's like you have to kind of squint to see her mom in the corner. So it's creepy in that regard, but it's also terrifying because it actually I think it ties deeply into like the actual plot of the film, because her mom just died and she's going through her mom's stuff, and there's all this weird occult ominous stuff that she's going through, and then right after she does, she closes the box, then she sees her mom, and it's also kind of like it foreshadows the rest of the film, because her mom is going to be haunting the rest of the film. The mom's dabbling in the occult is constantly hanging over the film. So it's like, okay, cool, this is like it's creepy on like the from what you expect from a horror movie, but it's also it actually ties into the film. So I think it's a very effective scare.
Yeah. In Hereditary, I remember obviously the kind of freakiest one is the girl getting her head knocked off.
Yeah.
And then when they show that, it's just kind of being infested with flies and on the side of the road. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And the Toni Collette's character like sawing her own head off, like that was very freaky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good movie. Does he have anything coming out soon?
Ari Aster? I know that he said that his next project is going to be, I think it was like a funny or a humorous nightmare. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Wait, so he hasn't had anything since Midsummer?
I don't believe so.
Oh, well, come on, dude. We need you.
Lazy fuck.
Keep making great movies for us.
Oh, here it is. Oh, it's in post-production. It's called Disappointment Boulevard. Okay. It's a comedy, drama, horror. A decade-spanning portrait of one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time. Interesting. It doesn't say. It has the cast. It's got Joaquin Phoenix in it.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah. I'll watch anything with Joaquin Phoenix. He's my boy. He's my he's my 1-1, my numero uno.
Initially described by Ari Aster as a 4-hour-long nightmare comedy.
4 hours. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll watch it.
Yeah. I mean, cool. If the Justice League can do it, then Ari Aster can do it. So
Yeah, that's the saying, right?
That's an old film school saying.
That's anything else we should touch on? I mean, I feel like we could do another horror episode. I feel like we could do a look at this. Do you see this right here? He's just chewing on this fucking thing.
Oh, you should get a new cat.
No way. He's my boy. Look at him. He's an idiot.
What
do you have? Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. Anything else we should touch on? Again, like I was just shooting from the hip. I could talk about horror all. I'm actually gonna start a new movie tonight. I don't know what exactly yet.
Yeah.
I'll just post it on my Medium page. I'll be posting on social media. We talked about The Witch last time. I mean, I wrote these up now. The Witch, Malignant. Have you seen Malignant?
No, but I did include some scenes from it. A scene from it in the problems with modern horror films.
What scene?
Which scene is it? Did I include it? Maybe I didn't.
Okay,
no, I did it. I did not. I was going to. It was a scene towards the end, I think, where it gets like it turns like a stylish action movie where like the killer's going around and cutting up all the police officers, and it's like, oh, this is silly. I don't know.
It was silly. It was fun. I thought overall as a movie, like it was pretty good. It gets kind of ridiculous. The reveal's kind of fun, creepy. It was, to me, it was solid. Like it scratches the itch. I'd recommend it. It does get kind of ridiculous with at the end it does turn a little like Matrix-y and fighting all these officers who have guns, and I'll just say it is running around with like a switchblade and killing everyone. But anyway, I did that. I did Many Saints in Newark is not a horror movie. It wasn't very good, but it's not a horror movie. It's okay. I just need to watch that. Carrie. The classic. The
Stephen King one. The Brian De Palma.
Yeah, really, really good. I'd seen, I think, the remake. And obviously, everyone knows the ending of Carrie is one of the most iconic endings. My problem, I think, so as a filmmaker and screenwriter, like one of the issues I had with it, one was there's so much focus on not Carrie in the movie. It was kind of surprising. Like we understand each character's motivations and things like that, but like there was so much. I'm like, why am I watching this? Like this has nothing to do with, or isn't important for Carrie. And when Carrie's on screen, she's I can't remember her name right now. It's like a
Sissy
double S name. Sissy Spacek. Yeah, her and her mom are like incredible together. Yeah. And that like second, third scene of the movie, I'm like, give me more of that. And I know that that's a lot, but like, give me more of that. There's obviously more of it later, but there's so much gap in between. But what do you think about? So I want your opinion on this. Pretend you don't know. You're in 1976, I believe. You haven't read the book, and it hasn't been spoiled for you, right?
Right.
You don't know the ending of Carrie, the iconic ending, which, of course, if you don't know and you're listening, it's these teenage girls who pick on this kind of socially awkward classmate from a very religious family. She wins prom queen, and it's all set up to and they get back at her even though she didn't do anything wrong, just like from A to B, and then C they got in trouble, but she was A, and they spill pig's blood on her from the rafters. They drop it down, and then she loses her shit. She's, by the way, carries has telekinetic powers and kills everyone. So awesome, right? But so that's the ending. Now leading up to that, I don't think the viewer should see the buildup to the blood in the bucket.
Right.
Like I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this would have been so much better if you know that these people are up to something, right?
Right.
You know that we're seeing them for a reason. And I think they should have ended it after John Travolta's character, which is funny, John Travolta's in it, kills a pig. Right. Show him kill the pig. But if you went from him killing the pig all the way to blood falling on Carrie on the stage, that would have been not even put it together. That would have been like the whole time you're thinking, why the fuck did they kill this pig? What are they
Right.
doing?
Yeah.
Don't show me them set up the pulley system and the bucket and the blood and them hiding under the, like, we all know what's going to happen. We know that blood is going to fall on her. Chekhov's gun rule. Like, it's not going to not fall on her.
Right. Right.
I feel like it would have been so much more shocking had they shown them kill the pig. Rest of the movie, not the setup. Maybe show them bitching about it, saying they want to get back at her or whatever. But then blood falls.
Right. Yeah.
Such a better movie. Now,
Yeah.
have you read the book?
Yes, I have. It's good. It's really good.
Is it that telegraphed though in the book? Like, is it not hidden that she gets this spilled on her, and is probably the unexpected part then in the book and the movies that she kills everyone? That's the unexpected part, that she loses her shit. Right. I think it would have been better had to make it on it, and that might serve. Right, it's an adaptation. You don't have to follow the book exactly. I haven't read the book, so the book does show that. Doesn't mean you have to do that. As a director and a screenwriter, you have creative, control to say, well, that works for the novel. This will work better on screen. And I'm just watching that. I'm like, I give it a good, like, it's a really good movie. Like that, any horror aficionado has to watch it.
Yeah.
Probably watch it. But like, that would have made such a better movie to me. I don't know if you have a different opinion.
Yeah, I know. I actually like that idea. If I remember the book correctly, I think they do go into, they do telegraph it a lot more in the book, but also there's a lot more, space dedicated to the relationship between Carrie and her crazy mom. I also love the sort of epilogue of the book that wasn't in the film, if I remember correctly, because like she basically destroys the town. And so at the ending of the book, like after that whole big climactic scene,
she destroys the school in the movie.
But well, again, it's been a while since I watched the movie. But in the book, she starts walking around town, and like she'll flip a car over, and then lands into the gas station. That blows up, and then
no, that doesn't happen in the movie. She just flips over. She flips over. Then the girl and John Travolta try run her over, and she like flips that car, but then and then her house gets destroyed, sunken like into hell or whatever it is.
Yeah. But no, in the book, she destroys a lot more of the main street. She's walking around and she's just knocking shit over. It's really cool. But it talks about the epilogue after that. After Carrie and her mom die and the crazy thing. It talks about like the ramifications of the town, where it's like because the graduation, obviously like most of the student body was killed in the at prom, so it's like they have a very small graduation. Then the family started moving out of town because they didn't really bother to rebuild, so it's like, oh shit, she basically turned this picturesque New England town into like a very ghost townish thing. So I was like, oh wow, like it was a really dark, depressing epilogue in the novel. But how do you feel? Have you read much Stephen King? Oh yeah, we were talking about like the
we were talking about. I've read some, but I want to read more. I definitely have some on my reading list, which is of course very long and always. I actually am starting tonight, probably tonight. I'm starting. Have you read Devil's Knot? Do you know what that's about?
No, I haven't read that one.
Dude, you have to listen. Do you listen to the last podcast on the left?
No.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorite podcasts. Again, so I don't care about talking about other podcasts on my podcast. Some people, we don't care. The more the better. What goes around comes around. So they cover true crime, monsters, cults, all sort of stuff. And the story, the coverage that they did of what's called the West Memphis 3 is what really got me into them. And this is the book about it. And that they kind of use basically it's three guys, Henry, Ben, and Marcus. Marcus does like the vast majority of the research. Henry does some of it, and Ben's kind of just like, he's kind of almost like a stand in it. I feel like for the viewer, like he asks questions and stuff, and they're comedians too. And I actually saw him live in Atlantic City.
Cool.
But basically this book is about, there were these grisly murders of young boys it's called West Memphis, but it's actually in Arkansas. It has nothing to do with the city of Memphis, in Arkansas. And just like how this town it was during the Satanic Panic. And this was kind of one of the first big celebrity involvement, like injustice celebrities petitioning, religious zealotry, horrible evidence, corrupt cops, corrupt prosecutor, false confession. Like it's got everything.
Yeah,
It's got Satan. This was during 93, I believe. Kind of right in the meat of that late 80s, early 90s. I highly recommend listening to their podcast on it, because it's like really entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like,
nice.
Each episode's like an hour and a half long or so. So I'm very excited. I've been holding on to the book for a couple months to read during, October, because spooky.
Yeah.
Save all things spooky. But this is real. This is like, this is horrifying to me, especially as, a lawyer and who sees like how you can abuse the justice system, how personal, like it's all about, these personal vendettas and disgusting parents and just like really horrible mutilation of young boys. And you can fill in the gaps there.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And that's terrible. That's bad. I apologize for that. But this is like real horror. Like this shit actually happened, and it's horrifying. And that to me is a scary show. So the one thing, we can end soon. And here's one thing I kind of wanted to say. You know what? Actually, because I tell people I love horror, I'll watch the vast majority of horror. But do you know what movies actually scare me probably the most? Are movies that are more about kind of like isolation. And the best example I can think of this, to me, the scariest movie that I won't even watch is Gravity, where Sandra Bullock, gets
she goes to space.
And she falls off of the shuttle or whatever, and this is kind of stranded. I won't watch that. I'll watch The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I'll watch, any Japanese, Korean horror. I'll watch any of that. I can't watch Gravity. I don't like anything where it's like maybe a explorer in Antarctica or something alone.
Right.
Like shit like that just terrifies me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
127 hours.
I probably
James Franco.
Yeah. Well, that's also like, I know what happens. Like that's a real story.
Right.
It's also terrifying. Didn't he have to cut his own arm off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh my God. How do you eat? Didn't he have like a little knife?
Yeah.
Yeah. That, but kind of that sort of story where someone's like stranded or left to their own device, stranded out in the ocean. Not really Castaway, because it's like Tom Hanks, but great movie, but not as scary. But yeah, those sorts of movies just scare the shit out of me.
Nice. One thing that I'm watching right now is that Netflix show, Midnight Mass.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's more of a drama with some horror elements. It's by Mike Flanagan, who also did some other pretty good shows. He did
Michael Flanagan.
He did The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor, which were
I know they were phenomenons. I didn't love them.
Yeah, I thought Hill House was better than Bly Manor. But I want to read the novels that they were based on, though.
Probably, that'd probably be better. I didn't. Was Bly Manor? Is that the one where the girl kept saying that line that everyone hated? Like absolutely. Something.
Oh yes, you're
that?
right. Yeah, I can't remember the line.
Yeah, it's like absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't that.
Yeah. Or positively, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Some stupid thing like that. Yeah. In Midnight Mass, I won't give away too much, but it's very talkative and
talkative.
Yeah, like the movie just keeps talking and talking and talking. Like there's just so much dialogue.
All right.
It does this thing where like the dialogue can be well written, but it doesn't make sense for the characters to be saying this. So I don't mind saying this because it's not revealing like an important plot or anything. But there's a scene where a guy and a girl are talking about what they think happens in the afterlife, like what happens when you die. The girl's very religious and the guy is an atheist. And the guy is like, he was a Silicon Valley dude, like startup guy, and then he went to jail for killing a girl while drunk driving, and now he's back home living with his parents. And then the girl is just she's an elementary school teacher. So the guy, he goes on this long, like 5-minute, like super philosophical thing about how the body just dies and life is meaningless, blah, blah, blah. And then he turns to her and he goes, "Oh, so what do you think happens when you die?" And it's like, okay, like that, like, you're not a philosopher, dude. It doesn't make sense for this guy to be that artful in his language.
Yeah.
And then same thing with this lady, like she's just an elementary school teacher living in an isolated community, and she goes on a long philosophical thing about what happens when you die. And it's just like first of all, like there's no back and forth. It's just I'm gonna give a monologue. What about you? I'm gonna go on a monologue too. It's like all right. But I know that's just kind of like how TV writing is when you have.
Sure.
Netflix gave them the order of like, we want 7 episodes. Like, all right, well, we only have 5 episodes worth of content, so I guess we got to pad it out.
Yeah.
So there's a
Speaking
lot
of
that.
have you seen A Ghost Story?
No, I haven't seen that.
That's a very interesting take on what happens after you die. Like, it's not a horror movie by any means. It's hard to explain, actually. It's with Casey Affleck, who I like, and I think Rooney Mara. Yeah, I think it's her. It's interesting. Like, that's all I'll say. It's interesting how it portrays life after death, and philosophical, but not. There is a guy does give a long philosophical speech of, I think, what happens after we die, but I recommend it. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Anything else that we should talk about?
I don't know. We can wrap it up. How long's it been? Oh yeah, we're right. Yeah, we can wrap it up.
Yeah. All right.
I think should we start like promoting ourselves more or no? Just fuck it.
Yeah, why not?
Does anyone? I don't know. Does anyone listen this long? Does anyone listen to the
end? You got something you want to plug?
Not really.
Okay.
Same stuff that goes in the notes. You can find my books, my movie reviews, social media handles, all of that, and in the notes.
Cool. And
what about you?
Yeah, I'll probably plug these 2 articles I just wrote about like what's good and like what makes a good horror scene and what makes a bad horror scene.
Wait, so did you ever? What happened with the short film you made?
Oh, the horror one that we did?
Yeah. Should we wait to talk about that?
There's not much to talk about. It's a piece of shit. And we submitted it to Screamfest, which is probably one of the, if not the biggest horror film festival. And let's see, when is Screamfest? Because Screamfest is here in LA. Screamfest 2021. I just want to know when the festival is taking place. So it's taking place now.
Weekend. Oh,
it's taking place now through the 21st. We still haven't heard back from them. I think that we might hear back from them at some point, even though the festival has already started. But,
all right, that's funny. Anyway, all right. Well, next time.
Yeah, but my friend and I, we are working on some other much smaller projects, and we're kind of working back up to a bigger project at some point. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But all right, Ben, Stay reckless.
Stay reckless, Joe.
All right. Bye, everybody.